Every day I share another story from the Golden Age and the moments that shaped an unforgettable era. If you'd like to keep these memories alive with me, hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot. Thank you for being here. Now let's begin. At 93, Angie Dickinson is finally breaking her silence about Robert Redford, and her words land with the kind of quiet weight only a lifetime can give. Long before she became a byword for poise and star power, Angie, born Angeline Brown on September 30th, 1931, in Culm, North Dakota, was the daughter of Frederica and Leo Henry Brown, a German-American family who weathered the Depression with grit and prayer. That plain-spoken strength followed her west when the Browns resettled in Burbank. Angie studied at Immaculate Heart and Glendale College, thinking she might write stories rather than star in them. Then a beauty pageant opened a door, and casting directors saw what audiences soon would: that smoky voice, the quick intelligence, the impossible-to-teach magnetism. Television arrived first: anthologies, westerns, and studio lots where she learned to hit her mark and steal a scene. Then Howard Hawks cast her as Feathers in 1959's Rio Bravo, opposite John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Ricky Nelson, and Angie Dickinson became a name you couldn't ignore. She followed with the cool sparkle of Ocean's 11, 1960, alongside Sinatra and the Rat Pack, the sleek menace of The Killers, 1964, the hard edges of Point Blank, 1967, and the pulpy swagger of Big Bad Mama, 1974. She wasn't just glamorous, she was game, willing to push past the limits the town set for women, to be elegant and dangerous, romantic and wry, sometimes all in the same scene. Her stardom crystallized in the 1970s with Policewoman. As Sergeant Suzanne Pepper Anderson, she put a woman at the center of a crime world that had always been men's turf. The performance was polished steel, stylish, capable, quietly subversive, and it made her a touchstone for viewers who didn't often see themselves where the action was. Awards noticed. So did the next generation of female leads. Even as the industry tried to shunt mature actresses toward the margins, Angie kept finding new rooms to walk into and new ways to play in them. Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill, 1980, let her peel back layers of loneliness and longing. Throughout the 80s and 90s, she kept choosing parts with texture, reflecting both her craft and her lived-in perspective. Her off-screen life carried its own chapters. She married Gene Dickinson in 1952, a former college football star who moved into electronics, separating in 1956 and finalizing in 1960. She kept his surname, not out of sentimentality, but because in Hollywood, a clean, memorable name could be momentum, and Dickinson fit. During those early years, she also stepped beyond showbiz circles, befriending economist John Kenneth Galbraith and his wife Catherine. Through them, she saw the world from embassy windows instead of makeup chairs, visiting India when Galbraith served as ambassador. He wrote about her in his memoirs, proof she could move comfortably among diplomats and thinkers as easily as actors and directors. In 1965, she married Burt Bacharach, the composer whose melodies seem stitched into American memory. They were a glittering couple, music and movies under one roof, talent humming in every corner. Their daughter, Nikki, born in 1966, faced the challenges of autism at a time when understanding and resources were heartbreakingly thin. Angie and Bert fought for her, adapted for her, loved her. Nikki's death in 2007 at 40 left a wound that never closed. It also deepened Angie's advocacy for compassion and better support for families like theirs. Bacharach's long life ended in 2023 at 94, a giant to the last. The years they shared shaped both of them. Which brings us to the goodbye she never wanted to say. On September 16, 2025, Robert Redford died peacefully at 89 in Sundance, Utah, the place he built and the place that built his legend as much as Hollywood ever did. The tributes poured in to the actor, the director, the patron saint of independent film. Angie's felt different, lighter on spectacle, heavier on truth. Robert was one of those rare men in Hollywood, she said, the words coming slowly, as if carried up from a deeper room. Everyone could see he was handsome, but he had integrity, and that's not always easy to find here. She remembered the early 1960s when both were still climbing, and how the young Redford wasn't yet Robert Redford, but already carried that quiet spark, that sense of a future unfolding. What struck her wasn't ego, but humility. He didn't act like he owned the place, she said. He listened. Angie never romanticized the era. Being a woman then meant smaller boxes and higher bars. Men like Redford were afforded a range of roles and a presumption of seriousness that actresses had to wrestle into existence. But she's careful about where she places him. He respected the women he worked with, she said. He didn't treat us like decoration. That acknowledgement matters more, perhaps, coming from someone who spent a career insisting on dimensional women in a town that loved shadows. She also praised his activism, the stubborn nobility of it. Robert wasn't just about making movies, she said. He wanted to change the world, even a little. Sundance was proof. A doorway for young filmmakers the studios wouldn't see. A valley where voices too strange or too new could be heard. That generosity of spirit, she added, is as much his legacy as any film. The inevitable question followed. Was there ever more than friendship? She smiled that smile she's used her whole life to dodge a trap without being coy. People always ask, she laughed. Women adored him, and I was no exception. But no, we never had a romance. We respected each other. Maybe that's why it lasted so long. No drama, no tangles. She didn't pretend he lacked charm. Even as time etched his face, Redford had that look, boyishness folded into resolve, that made you feel uniquely seen. You can't teach it. He always had it. His passing, she admits, hurts. But where and how he died gives her peace, not on a soundstage, not on a red carpet. At Sundance, in the home he built, inside the landscape that fed his imagination. That was his sanctuary, she said, exactly how he would have wanted it. If there's a lesson she carries from knowing him, it's simple and stubborn. You can do this work and remain decent. You can have fame without surrendering privacy. You can keep the compass pointed toward where you came from, even as the world begs you to spin. For Angie, who made a career out of walking straight through rooms designed to turn women into mirrors, that's not nostalgia. It's a standard. Angie Dickinson's story is often told in gowns and close-ups. Pepsi Ice glamour, a sideways glance over a bare shoulder, the gold badge glinting on Pepper Anderson's lapel. But the longer view reveals something steadier, a woman who moved with grace through the gauntlet, who tried difficult parts, who loved hard and grieved harder, who kept showing up for the work and for the people she loved. Her memories of Robert Redford are part of that steadiness, not secrets, not scandal, just respect. Robert was the real thing, she said at last. They don't make them like him anymore. The world feels a little emptier without him. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you felt something real, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.